Hey everybody, welcome back to Living in Minnesota. My name is Joe Carmack, and today we're going to talk about market update for August 2021. All right, let's dig into it. So about every 6 months or so, Keller Williams has a big conference and they have their chief economist on stage, and basically they tell us what's going on in the greater economy. So that's what we're going to start with. Let me hit you with your home sales, what's going on right now in the US. Currently for this year, they're estimating about 5.9 million home sales will happen. As you can see here, that's well above where we would have been previously. That's a very, very strong number for us. That's not a number that we're looking at having too many homes sold, obviously, like prices when we talk about that in a second. But overall, 5.9 million, very, very strong. I believe that was the fifth highest year that we've had on record. So very strong numbers for sales. With that, as you've probably seen, home prices are really going through the roof right now. So that trend line there that you're seeing, the yellow, that's if we're on a 4% trend line. So if we look back kind of in this bubble here, early 2000s, that's when prices started to overinflate. You can see they were going well above where we would like them to see. We then saw the market kind of bottom out there, and then we've been inclining since then. We were expecting there to be kind of this gap. If you've heard me in the past talk about, we were expecting that the market would just stay at a lower gap, and then we would have kind of a new normal of trend lines. This year, we've actually just closed that gap, you can see there. So we're very, very strong numbers. We're looking at 341 for the current average sale price for the country. But again, that's a pretty dramatic jump. You can see just in the last year or so, almost $50,000 increase on the average home price. So that's a little bit too high. Stick with me because I'm going to show you what inflation is doing and how we expect that to change here in a little bit. But overall, sale prices have gone up considerably. Oops, jumped ahead. So then when we're looking at inventory, so this is that month supply of index that I talk about every month. We typically on this chart here, the lower we are, the more of a seller's market we're in, the higher we are, the more of a buyer's market we're in. So as you can see, we've kind of bottomed out there. We were at 1.9 in December this past year. We have recovered a little bit, which is nice. We did expect that to rebound a little bit anyhow, but we're still at 2.6, which is a very, very low number, meaning that it's a very, very strong seller's market. And we do expect that will start to rebound a little bit. How much is kind of anybody's guessing game right now. So we need that number to come up a little bit for us for sure. Number of new listings. So because we're in such a strong seller's market, there's really got to be one of two reasons. Either we're not seeing enough new listings coming on, or we're seeing too many buyers coming on. Those two things would be how we cause it to become more of a seller's market. This chart I thought was really, really interesting. This will answer that equation for you. So if we're looking at that blue line there, that's going to be basically the average from 2015 to 2019. So that would be kind of what we would expect to be a normal number of new listings to be coming on the market. You can see, not really surprised when we had COVID happening last year on that magenta color there. Everybody pulled back and not many new listings, March, April, May. But then all of a sudden that did rebound really quickly. So if you didn't know, we had a very, very short recovery. I'll show you that again in a second. But basically the market constricted for a little bit of time and then it exploded and took off again. So you can see, even with last year, we did exceed the number of new listings coming on the market. And we've also done that again this year. We did it earlier. So 2021 is that orange line there. We're actually well above kind of that average from 2015 to 19. The blue line, we're above average for number of new listings coming on the market. So that is a really, really good sign. I'll show you what new construction is doing here. But overall, new listings coming into the market really is not our problem. There's just, in addition to new listings, there's a ton more buyers. So we're seeing a lot of younger buyers, a lot of first-time buyers coming into the market. We're seeing people that had held off. We're seeing people that were working on their house before and now they're ready to sell, so they're selling and buying. So overall, great number of new listings, but we're just seeing a huge influx of buyers coming with that. That's why we're sticking towards being such a seller's market right now. Let's talk about mortgage rates. So a lot of people are asking, okay, well, if we're so low, how do we keep up with this? Let me get to that, where we're going in a second, but just so you can see where we're at right now, 2.74 was the lowest that we've been at in quite some time. I think that was the all-time record in January of this year. That's even lower than we had seen previously in the past several years. They pushed interest rates down to get the economy going with the last recession, and they're even lower now. We're currently sitting right around 3% for our current mortgage rates. That's nationwide. I am seeing that pretty similar locally. 3 to 3.25 is pretty common rates that I'm seeing. So it means that because buyers are having to compete with one another for so few listings compared to the number of buyers, and because their interest rates are lower, it means that they can afford a higher payment. Because they can afford a higher payment, they can afford to bid over and over, and that's what's causing the prices to go up. So these are all very, very interconnected. But overall, from a historical perspective, mortgage rates have pretty much never been better than they are right now. So let's shift and look more at kind of an economy standpoint of what's going on. This will help start us understand what's coming in the next year or two. First of all, GDP growth has been very, very strong. If you were concerned, some people had seen, like we've got that big drop there. GDP had obviously just hit the brakes across the world, really, but especially in the US. We've since rebounded. We had a great year last year rebounding. This is quarterly growth, and so we're well above the averages that we had seen for the years previously. GDP growth is very good, but that can also cause overinflation if it's not careful. So then let's look at unemployment. We're at 4.8 is what we're estimating to be how we'll wrap up the year with unemployment. That's a very, very good number. They're saying anything below 6 is considered good. Lower is better, but there'll always be some degree of unemployment. 4.8 is a really, really strong number for us. It generally means that the vast majority that want a job could find a job right now. And it is putting a little bit of pressure on employers for better wage growth. Now let's look at unemployment though from a recovery standpoint. So this is a really, really interesting chart they shared with us. Look at the bottom graph first. That's going to be the Great Recession there. So you can see there were problems in the economy. There were massive shifts that needed to happen, that were happening. And so you can see their unemployment really went high for a little bit. And then it was a very slow recovery over 5 or 6 years. Currently, we're not completely recovered, but we obviously started at a much better place at 3.6% unemployment. We had a huge spike, primarily from all those service industries, restaurants and entertainment especially. But after things started getting back on track, we're actually recovering very, very quickly. So again, we're not exactly where we were, but we were able to do that in the span of a year and a half compared to what had happened with the Great Recession previously. So again, a huge event happened, but it's since recovered, and so in a way we're kind of ready to move past the COVID conversations since having recovered to where we're looking at in the future. So that's all very, very good news. Let's look at inflation now. So this is the one that does have me a little bit concerned, and everybody's really keeping an eye on. With inflation, as you can see there, I mean, we'll just cut to the chase on the end. This has just gone up way too quickly. That 2% trend line is where they want to see us. That's what's considered a good amount of inflation to keep the economy buzzing. We're expecting to go up around 4% or more. So that's way too high, obviously almost double. Prices with housing are definitely leading that. And so we need to see that number slow down. The main lever that the government's got to slow that down is going to be mortgage interest rates. So let's talk about where we're at. In the conference, they were saying they're not expecting mortgage rates to change dramatically for about the next year or so. Into middle to late of next year, then we may see interest rates starting to go up. It's not going to be significantly. We really need to see the incomes to go up as well in order for mortgage rates to change. You can see here on the affordability graph, this is actually very, very striking as well. You can see really we need to see those two lines basically mirroring each other, and it's this gap we've got between home prices going up too much and income not following suit. And that's really the biggest problem we see. So between that and inflation going up too high, I would say it's pretty likely that they'll start to increase their interest rates. But again, probably not for a year or so to really pull down that inflation number. So there you go. That's a big macro look at what's going on in the market nationally. Of course, you're going to want local Twin Cities news. So check back next month, and you can of course subscribe to the channel. We've got an entire playlist that'll put together every single month I do a market update. So I'll see you on the next one.